Hi everyone, in today's video we're going to look at tapering into non-target races. Now this does depend a little bit on where you are in your training block and ultimately what your goals are planning for. If we look at this in the context of planning for a marathon, there's some different things you might want to do. So when it comes to tapering for non-target races, we do want to use them for different reasons. So a non-target race might be, hey, this is some fun, I love doing this race, it's a gorgeous place, I'm supporting a friend. So, if you're going to go fairly easy, then don't worry about tapering that much. Keep the training volume, keep the training intensity, and crack on. Don't use that race obviously then as a gauge of how you are feeling, because it's not going to be a true representation. And it depends obviously how close you are pushing to that race effort, or if you're really, really going easy, then definitely don't taper. If you're going to go closer to, not maximal effort, but 15, 20 seconds a mile outside of that, you want to take a little bit of an easier ride in there just to get a bit of a gauge of it. But it depends what you're really trying to gain from that run. Depends obviously on the elevation and stuff as well. So again, if you're trying to go for a really hilly race, you probably want to ease back a little bit more just so we're not overdoing the training volume and intensity there. Depends where you are within the block as well. If you're, you're way out from your marathon and actually going like 3 or 4 weeks in and you've got 12 weeks to go, then don't worry about tapering. Your mileage is going to be quite low. It's probably likely that mileage is going to match up fairly close to what you would have been doing anyway. So you're probably safe to go with that. It does depend on some exceptions to that rule, but most times it's okay. However, if you are going to something like a 10 miler, a half marathon, or 20 miler potentially, and you go and I want to use this as a gauge of where my fitness is for the marathon, which is a great idea, by the way, then you do want to probably have some tapering into it. Because the shorter distance, you don't need to taper as much. However, you do want to bring it back still. So, for instance, I'm coming up to 20-mile race in a few weeks' time, and I'm going to drop things back a little bit. So, I'm going to drop the mileage back a touch, more to what would be like week one of a 2-week taper for me normally into a marathon. And I'm going to drop the strength back in the same way I would do if I was doing that marathon. So week one's worth of taper running, but week two's worth of taper strength work. Now, you can do different things with this, but basically stop on the Thursday for both strength and your running, basically bringing back that volume. So drop down in the volume, but keep the intensity. Keep the rep strength, the weights you're using, if you're using any weights, just cut back on the number of repetitions you do and the number of sets you do. So work on the lower amount of time you basically would be working for, but keep the intensity there. So make sure you still keep feeling sharp and still feel ready to go for that race. Taper runs, again, you might want to do a one session and then do a couple of easy runs. You might do two easier runs, two tapered runs that are kind of a bit more intense, and then just one easier run, but still try and have that Thursday as your last race or running day before the race. Now, these aren't hard and fast rules, but I would also suggest going into just a little bit of the race pace you're practicing for that more intense run, especially if you are building into it and say you want to have a crack at a half marathon PB, say 4 to 6 weeks out from your marathon, perfectly viable. But make sure you do get a little bit of that pace work in. So just short repetitions, 800 meters, 400 meters, just a little bit of that. And again, don't overdo it. We still do want to be bringing that intensity down with the volume, just a touch, making sure that you're not overdoing it in that week. The race is important potentially if you are using it for a projection. However, it is not the most important thing. The important thing is coming out of that week and out of that race going, nothing's hurt, nothing's injured, I'm feeling good, need a few days to recover, and then we can crack back into your proper training. Prioritize the marathon first, but use this as a really good gauge of where your fitness is. So it's a great thing to do, but make sure you are taking it back. So essentially, drop down your strength work, same amount of weight, but shorter repetitions, shorter sets, and lower, shorter periods of time. And intensity of running, keep the intensity, maybe take it up just a very, very small notch if you haven't been doing that appropriately in the recent weeks, but drop down that volume. Make sure you're doing a little bit less. Really stop it on the Thursday for everything else apart from mobility work that you're doing at this point. That should give you a great chance to run a fantastic time, gauge what you're doing, or keep on going if you are doing a fun run. Keep on doing what you're doing, have a great time, and enjoy the training and the racing. See you soon.